big episode. I've got a great idea. This is going to be a perfect episode. It's going to go great. All we need is for no one else to show up. As long as no one else shows up, we're going to be good to go.
Oh, God.
What?
No!
What's Zach doing here?
Well,
Finally happened.
Finally happened. We have found our white whale, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined on the sideshow today with our good buddy, Zach. My name is Adam, and that is Terry, and we are breaking down Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. And this is Season 5, Episode 5, called Dead Freight, which aired August 12th, 2012. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm glad Zach actually showed up.
Yeah, I'm
sorry it took me so long to join. I've just been out there burying bodies and robbing trains, but you know what? I'm finally here. I did, this was not my comatose state. I'm really excited to do this because we're talking about my all-time favorite episode of Breaking Bad. It's been a while since I've watched Breaking Bad. I actually watched starting in episode 5, season 5, episode 1, got that backwards, to set up this brilliant episode. And I'm just I'm pulling a Maryland level. I'm thrilled and proud, happy, and thrilled to be here.
Nice.
Tight, yeah.
That was a very tight opening. We have to ask this because every time Todd pops on, we're like, why are you here? Why is this the episode that you show up? Why is this Dead Freight episode your favorite episode, Zach?
Well, that's a good question. I got into Breaking Bad not as late as you, Adam,
Nope.
Because I'm not living under a rock, apparently. But I did get into it a little late. I started watching it at the beginning of season 5, part 1, live on AMC Sunday nights, which was incredible. I remember I would used to watch it after Sunday Night Football. It was amazing. I would actually watch the episodes twice. They were so good. And when Dead Freight aired, I remember watching it with my wife, and this was the episode that to me clinched that this was the best show of all time. And there wasn't really any doubt about it. And the finale of this episode that we'll talk about, I remember just literally, I mean, it's a cliche, but my jaw dropped. And I said, oh my God. And it was a cruelty, absolute punishment to have to wait a week and see what happened next. I mean, I know that's what you're doing because, you wait a week to do the podcast episodes, but a lot of people got exposed to it just binge watching on Netflix. But there was a time back in the day, back in the Obama administration, when you had to wait a week to see what happened next. And that, after this episode especially, was just cruel and unusual. But it's a great episode. It's my favorite episode. And I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts on it.
Now, here's this thing. Zach is doing this. Zach has not
even listened to our show,
to a single sideshow. So this is going to make this a lot of fun because he has no idea what we've been doing for the last 50 episodes of this.
I think I have a general idea.
He's going in as blind as me going into the show, essentially.
Pretty much.
That's true.
General idea, but really
no spoilers, Adam.
Yeah, no spoilers. I won't spoil the show that we've been recording for 51 episodes now. But I guess the only thing we could say here is, yo, bitch, let's roll that synopsis, Terry.
Let's do it. All right. Season 5, episode 5 is entitled Dead Freight. Hank has a new job, and Walt has a new problem to solve. First, let's start with Hank. He gets his new office as ASAC, head of the department. His first visitor is Walt, giving a sob story that it turns out was just to get Hank out of the office so he can plant a bug on his computer and a microphone in his office. Hank is loving having Flynn and Holly live with them, even if Flynn is being rebellious. He sneaks back to the house to confront Mom and Dad, who just forcefully tell him to go back. With Walt's new bugs installed, they can confront Lydia and see if she planted the trackers on the methylamine barrels. Turns out she didn't. The Houston office did, and Hank reamed them for their stupidity. But with every barrel tagged, they need a new solution for methylamine. Lydia has an idea. A train robbery. Thousands of gallons cross a dead spot in New Mexico, giving them a chance. Thanks to Jesse's idea, the plan is to never be detected. Empty the methylamine into one tank while filling it with water from another to replace the weight. Add a broken down dump truck in the middle of the road, and you have a plan. Todd the pest guy is called up from the minor leagues to be the third set of hands on the job. Thanks to a helpful push, they didn't have as much time as they had hoped, but they barely wrap up and complete the heist with no one ever knowing, except a random kid on a dirt bike. Don't worry, Todd pulled out a gun and took care of it.
No!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Todd,
all right.
Zach did it better.
Adam, this is your first time watching it. What'd you think?
Man, this is what you get with like what this episode felt like an Ocean's 11 meets like Magnificent Seven type of feel to it. It's a western heist type of episode. You know, we have this heist that we're going to pull off, this unbelievable feat, this Mission Impossible, if you will, feat of getting these oceans from these barrels. This was a really well put together episode. It definitely had that hit. And right when they turned to the kid, I was like, oh, he's gone. I was like, yep, Todd's pulling out a gun. It's a clutch move. I think even our Todd would do the same thing. Quite frankly.
Shots fired. Literally.
Literally shots fired. But that's why he's clutch. He's MVP for probably. But this is a fantastic episode from start to finish there. Again, we still get to see a little bit of pieces through of the melodrama with the Skylar and Walter relationship. I like how we get some of the best acting that Heisenberg has done. Is given the Oscar or the Pinot, if you will, for his performance in Hank's office. You want some coffee? Coffee? Yeah, you want some coffee? Definitely some
great acting.
And yeah, this is just a fun episode. I think this episode is going to be remembered for the finale of the episode here with this heist. And again, the opening, they're back to doing openings where you don't know exactly where they're going to lead to, i.e. the season 2 openings primarily. So it's good to see those because you don't know exactly how they fit until they do. So mad respect to this episode.
I told you on the last episode, this episode is when the season takes off. And
yep, I can see it.
And it did. All right. Well, Zach, you've been binging your way through last couple days to get caught back up with us. What do you remember about the first half of season 5 here, or the first quarter of season 5? And then this episode.
Well, you really didn't know where the show was going to go because you thought maybe at Gus Fring's death, the show probably could have ended at that point. And things do pick back up. Walt reemerges, kind of moves himself back into the house, and there's still a lot of family strain in the relationship. In this episode, Walt Jr. is Flynn again. He's gone back and forth. It kind of reminded me, so many of the characters have multiple names in this series because you got like Walt Jr. and Flynn, you have Walter and Heisenberg, you got Jesse and Captain Cook, you've got
Brandon and Badger.
Brandon and Badger, Skinny Pete. Well, I guess that is probably his name.
Peter, Skinny Pete.
Peter, when he plays classical music, as he did in that previous episode. But what I love about this episode in particular is I think it illustrates it's so almost like the show is contained in one. It's like a metaphor for the whole show because there are problems. There are obstacles. How are they going to get this methylamine? This methylamine was tagged by the DEA, ends up being the Houston DEA. It is bad product. They can't do it. There's a huge problem because, Mike says they got to go back to pseudo and Walt doesn't want to do that. And then there's this solution. There's this magical solution that's going to take a lot of guts, a lot of balls, and they do it and they pull it off. And it is one step for mankind. No, it's actually one step forward, maybe even 2 steps forward. But then the last scene of it is the step backward. And what's so wonderful about Breaking Bad is every time they have a momentous movement forward, something bad happens. And it's usually because it's usually not the DEA or the cops. It's usually the hubris of the people involved. In this case, it's the idiocracy of involving Todd, aka Jesse Plemons, in this. And, obviously we're going to learn a lot more about Todd in future episodes, but that is just a wild card that you could not have predicted going into this episode. And kind of what you were saying, Adam, it's just a brilliant heist episode. The editing, the cinematography, especially during the last 20 minutes, it is as good as any movie. It is fantastic to watch, and you are on the edge of your seat. You even see the hubris again when in the dynamic between Walt and Mike, when Mike is saying, "Get out, the train is moving, the vehicle, Bill Burr has left the scene," and Walt is like, "No, just a little bit more." You see his greed there. That greed is through the entire series, and even though it appears that his greed didn't cause a lot of damage, because ultimately Jesse and Todd survive what could have been a very dangerous, precipitous situation, they are done in again by Walt's hubris and ultimately all of their hubris in believing that they can do this incredible act and break bad. It's a thrilling episode that even the non heist stuff I think works really well. But like I said, this was the episode that I just thought, my God, this is like the best TV I've ever seen. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing heist episode. And one thing I was thinking about as I was watching this time is, they put a lot of faith in Todd. And they don't really know Todd that well. They put a lot, Todd has to come up clutch for this to work.
You can get up there?
up till now, every time they need an extra set of hands, it's Badger or Skinny Pete. I'm like, why didn't they call Badger or Skinny Pete to do this? But they called Todd, and he wasn't the only Vominos Pest guy to help out with this, but I guess Badger and Skinny are just kind of gleefully, blissfully ignorant on the outside.
I think it was arrogance, though. I'll go back to that. I think it's the arrogance, because in the previous episode, they're like, his name is yes, sir, and his name is no, sir. Todd is their bitch, okay? They're going to have Todd do whatever they think that they want him to do, because they just assumes Todd is beneath them. And one of the lingering questions I have too is like, Todd is, if we don't know a whole lot about him except that he's a thief, and you wonder if someone had opened up the drapes when they were doing a pest control on someone's house pre Jesse and Walt, do you think he shot someone?
Oh,
like, do you think that's just a move that he does because he's a criminal? We know this, and so it's not particularly surprising that would be his reaction. It's consistent with his character. But what's surprising about it is the narrative structure of this episode, because Terry, you gave a wonderful synopsis, but you forgot a big one, which is that the opening of this episode is the quirkiest, weirdest opening of any episode. And there are a lot of quirky, weird openings. But when you're watching this episode,
in the swimming pool,
I think so. I think that because
or pulling out teeth out of the lake, Tuco's teeth.
What's brilliant about this opening is you think you have no idea who this kid is. You have no idea where they are. I'm wondering, Adam, I want to hear what you thought, but I remember what I thought when I saw this in 2012. I thought he was at their original Cook site. I thought that this episode was going to be about how maybe he excavates something from the original Cook site, and that ends up playing a role in the show, but I had no idea what the spider was and the bike. It's just brilliant, and then you completely forget about it. It is like a magic trick. The writer of this episode George Masters did a phenomenal job of just putting you there, and then you forget about it, and then it comes back and just really slams you on the head.
Well, obviously, I think the low-hanging fruit, what I originally thought was a Home Alone reference. I'm going to feed you to my tarantula. But
there we go.
But that's a bad idea if he finds like Walter's pants or something like that, like in the desert in the original Cook site. But originally, when he picked up the tarantula, I saw some like what looked like a rope coming out of the garage. So I thought it was a drop site for Gus Fring, where they would drop and he would get the money. I thought originally when they said dead freight, it was dead freight left over from Gus's original Cook.
That's a great call.
That's what I had thought. I was like, oh, but he's about to find something that he's not supposed to find.
Yeah,
something I noticed. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, a great detail, though, of that opening scene is if you listen to it carefully, you can hear a train in the background.
That's what I was.
And that's what gave it away for me this time. But again, you don't notice it. It's just brilliant. You have to have seen the episode to know it, but it's there, and it's a flash forward, and the show
I just
doesn't do a
noticed
lot
it.
of flash.
I just noticed it for the first time this time too. I had never heard the train before.
Actually, the show does do a lot of flash forwards, but you don't realize it's a flash forward. You don't know what it is. It's just something weird that you've come to expect to some degree. But like, you also wonder, like, was this kid in another episode? Like, is he somehow related to, like, is he maybe Brock's friend or something like that? Like, or is he Jesse's brother? Maybe. I remember thinking that. Like, you know, you just don't know. But it's a great setup, and you know, movies do this sometimes too. You know, we deep dove Collateral a few months ago, and Collateral also has something that happens the first 20 minutes, and you kind of forget about it, and then it comes back with a vengeance at the end of the movie. But this episode just did it really well, and there's just great stuff throughout. I mean, I think, what do you think, Adam, so far of Lydia? Because Lydia, I think, is one of my favorite characters on the show. And I think she really comes out as a really fascinating character, especially in this episode.
She's definitely a character that is trying to save her own skin. Kind of a, I don't know the right verbiage for that, but she's definitely trying to save herself.
She's a survivor.
Definitely, that's a good way to put it. It's definitely a survivor. And I don't know if you ever knew this. We're big fans of Knight's Tale, but she was the blacksmith in that one. I pointed that out a few episodes ago when she first appeared. So immediately that actress was someone who I remembered. So she's still a character I'm feeling out, because she is a completely different character in a way. She is she's a survivor, kind of, but in a completely opposite way of Skylar, in a way, because she has a lot of chaotic ways of dealing with things, I feel, but at the same time as she's put in this high stress situation for a long time, where she's able to kind of figure things out and kind of maneuver in the world that she, in her environment, that a little better than maybe a Skylar could, because just being in there so much. So it's a fascinating character, somebody that I'm not quite 100% behind quite yet, honestly, but at the same time is definitely one of the more fascinating newer characters that we've been introduced to.
Well, I love her rapport with Mike. You know, that there is deep acrimony between them. You know, Walt can't even really believe that she would put out a hit on Mike, that she would have that much power and carnality. But I think they have. I love that, you know, in that moment, Jesse wants to believe her. You know, and this goes back to last episode. Like he hasn't broke bad completely. I think at this point, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I don't see Walter White anymore. I only see Heisenberg. Walter White long gone at this point. But Jesse still, there's a strain of humanity that still exists. And again, I don't even really remember a whole lot what happens after this episode. But you know, this is going to be another spiral for him, because him and the death of children is a particular trigger for him. And how much of his humanity has already been depleted in this entire run that they are on. He wants to believe Lydia. In this case, he's correct about Lydia, but Lydia is very shifty, but they all are. And I think she's a great kind of mixture, and I think her and Mike should just have a bunch of scenes together. I love the anger, the bitterness, the just total douchebaggery of both of those characters. It's wonderful. You know that it's got to reach a boiling point at some point.
True. Good point. Great point.
All right. Well, what else? What else? What else do we do here?
So usually our first category we go to is best scene, which I think we've already kind of been talking about. Like, the heist is one of the best scenes the show has
the entire show. Yeah.
Okay, but this episode has a lot of good scenes, though. I mean,
this episode does have a lot of scenes.
I would like to nominate the scene when Walt goes to Hank's office. That is a very critical scene, because you think that just for a second, Walt is being genuine. Great acting by Bryan Cranston. Close up on his face. He just pauses as he's like, Hank, she doesn't love me anymore. And for a second, maybe he's Walter again. And Hank believes it. Hook, sink, and liner, or whatever that expression is. And
hook, line, and sinker.
See hook, line, and sinker. He falls for it just like everybody, because Walt is a master manipulator. I mean, as great of a chemist he is, he's even better at manipulating people. And boy, he got close to getting caught. I mean, that is about the level of, you know, the cops busting up their RV at old Joe's junk shop. By the way, guys, I don't like the Gomi minor character award. It should be the Old Joe minor character award. Old Joe is a true minor character, and he's a wonderful character. I wish he could have also had a spinoff along with Slip and Jimmy, but I love that scene in the DEA office. That's one of my favorite exchanges between Walt and Hank.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Scene there too. That's a definitely one that was kind of a lasting one, because you just know that he's taking advantage of the people who care about him again, because he's a master manipulator there as well. And yeah, hook, line, and stinker for Hank for allowing him to let off his guard and as well. And
I'm pretty sure you just said hook, line,
and stinker.
I did that on purpose.
Okay, good.
That was intended. It was for comedy.
Well, the methylamine is stinky. You know, they revealed that in the last episode. It makes everything smell. So.
That's why I'm here, folks. No, that's a great scene there. If I had to nominate another one, I like the Lydia being handcuffed to the table, and they're clearly they're talking. He's like, I can hear you, and I'm going to rebuttal as you guys are talking. That's a great sequence with them kind of arguing amongst the four of themselves. So, and coming up with this plan too. Original of the heist and kind of making the phone call to Hank as well. So that's a great scene as well. That could have been very well mentioned here.
Yeah, that's the one I had written down. If I'm gonna go with something else, it's the second time this season where we've seen Walt and Mike fighting over what to do, and Jesse comes up with the solution.
Yeah.
And whenever that happens, I mean, you said, Zach, you said. Jesse hasn't broken bad, but one of the things he is doing is he's still kind of living off of this sense of confidence that he knows what he's doing that Gus gave him at the end of season 4, like the whole thing, taking him to Mexico, trusting him to do the cook, trusting him in that moment in Don Eladio's house. Like, Gus trusted him and gave him the confidence that he is useful. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know if he comes up with magnets, and I don't know if he comes up with this heist. And so when he has that moment where he's like, "What if they never knew we were there?" And he comes up with the whole plan. And
well, yeah,
that's a great scene too.
Well,
I would actually take it. I just want to respond to Terry for a second. I would actually take it a step further back, Terry. I don't think it's Gus Fring that gives him that sense of achievement or accomplishment or even confidence in himself. What it really goes back to is when he was in rehab, when he met Andrea, and he gives his soliloquy about the high school shop teacher, because the high school shop teacher was the one that said, "You have all the ability. You just can't be a dumb shit. You know, you have to believe in yourself." Or I can't exactly remember that scene, but I think a through line of the series absolutely is Jesse finding himself not through manipulation and cruelty the way that Walt does, but through taking charge. And I think another good scene, maybe not the best scene, but I think that it's an interesting scene when he explains to Todd what exactly they're doing with the water truck. And you can really see that Jesse understands the chemistry and the mechanics of it way better than at any previous point in the series. But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point as well, and you just sort of wonder. I think that even the scene with Andrea is kind of interesting in this. Was that in this episode, or was that the last one where we see Andrea and Brock?
Last one.
Okay, sorry, I won't get into that, but yeah. No, I'm sorry, Adam. I didn't mean to step on your toes, but
no. I think you brought up a lot of good points that I would also touch on too. Is that Jesse's also a survivor too. He survived his addiction. He survived the death of Jane. He survived the hobos living in his house and all that kind of addiction that was festering there as well. And kind of just overall, and his parents too. Other people who just never gave him enough time to kind of recover.
If I had been in another episode, I would have maybe chosen the episode where Jesse goes to Saul Goodman comes in and takes the house from his parents. I love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole series. Yeah, I don't remember what episode. That was long ago, but that's one of my favorite scenes.
Season 3,
also, I just gotta say, I love Jesse's car. We only see it for a second in this. I don't know if you guys talked about the cars much. The cars played a big role in the last episode when Walt buys new cars. But Jesse's Tercel, that 4-door red thing, is my favorite car in the whole series. I love that car. It's better than anything.
I missed it. I didn't realize he's still.
I didn't see it in this episode, but we have talked about that car, especially when he moved into his duplex. But he's a survivor too, so he's coming up with ways. But unless he's not obsessed with the power, he's obsessed with coming up with the solutions to the problems as well. So he's has that growth
and
thing.
being the what's the compromiser, in the last episode, or was it 2 ago, with the money, the legacy, Mike takes out all the money and Jesse's like, let's just take my share. Let's just solve the problem right here. Exactly.
Yeah,
he's almost like a middle child, or like a child of divorce, just like stop the fighting, stop the infighting, he's desperate.
Yeah.
But you're also right. He has those moments where he spirals too. Like you said, he had rehab and the scene with him talking about the shop teacher in the box. Well, that had to happen because of the spiral he had with Jane, right? And that brings him out of it. Then he has to shoot Gail, and that sends him on a spiral where his house turns into a meth house.
Yeah.
And then another spiral's coming now after this one.
Then he comes out of it because Gus pulls him out of it. And now we'll have to see what happens.
So you care more about Jesse than you do Walt. I mean, I don't know, but I at this point I wanted Walt to get caught. I hated Walt for a while, but there's still humanity left in Jesse, and you'd like to still think that there's some sort of future for him, because he's not motivated by money at this point. Clearly, I don't know what he's motivated by, except for some sense of achievement or knowledge or competence in something in his life.
Purpose.
All right, let's move on to our next category here. We're just having great conversations about Breaking Bad, which is great. Zach has 5 seasons worth of
conversation
here. Yeah.
All right, we've touched on this already.
The Ken wins Bogdan douchebag of the episode goes to who, Zach?
I'm going to say Mike. At this point, I'm done with Mike. I'm getting really tired of his bullshit. So Mike's first impulse all the time is to kill people. He's ready to oust the engineers on the train. He's forcing. I think the legacy costs are ridiculous. Like, that is outrageous. Those people had nothing to do with Walt and Jesse. That is all to save Mike's ass. And
Walt and Jesse's ass. I mean, if they talk, they figure out who Heisenberg is.
You think Chow knew who Heisenberg was? And now maybe there were scenes that I'm forgetting.
The laundry guy did.
The laundry guy does.
I don't know. I just think it's a little bit excessive. You guys know the show at this point better than I do, but I remember thinking Mike is a douchebag. First of all, he wants to kill Lydia. He is eager to kill Lydia, and obviously Lydia is someone who did not place those.
She's dead.
She's not the manipulator that he keeps saying that she is. She has stepped in and for the most part done the right thing. Now, she did put out a hit on him. That's true. Okay, but we can just forget about that. And Mike is
minor details.
We're gonna gloss
minor
over
detail.
It.
I think Mike is a douchebag by this point. I'm tired of it.
Good call.
All right, my pick for douchebag is the Houston office.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah.
That's what you had down too.
The
Houston office for putting the trackers on the outside of the barrel and then not telling anybody that they did it.
Why would you do that? Come on.
I like the Gomi. Tell me you weren't dumb enough to put a tracker on the outside of the barrel.
We put them all on all of them.
Yeah. All right.
Would you listen? I would be really fascinated to listen to Hank's office. It didn't just not anything to do with the show, but listen to him just spouting off with Gomi, and maybe putting in the Heat Blu-ray, maybe watching that on
for the last time. I said it's minerals. They're minerals.
He needs to have a shelf of minerals in his ASAC office.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah. Did you notice the picture?
Nice product placement there, Zach.
You're welcome. Did you notice the picture behind Hank at his office? It's a picture of him and Marie on their wedding day. And I'm going to say this because it's not a spoiler, but when this series came out, they had a couple of mini episodes that were unofficial, non-canonical. But one of the mini episodes was Hank and Marie's wedding day. Did you ever see that, Adam? It's online. And that picture is from their wedding day. And in the mini episode, I won't spoil it, it's a great like 3-minute scene between Hank and Walt, and Hank is like terrified of getting married and goes to Walt for advice. And that picture is from obviously that episode in their life. But it's really fun to check out. It reminded me of that, seeing that in this episode. Check it out. There's another mini episode too. I don't remember what it was. The Hank Murray wedding one was the best one.
Nice.
Have you seen that, Terry? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not seen that. I may have to check that out. All right. The Pinkman Stickman Award for this episode goes to who, Adam?
I have 2. Water. It's going in. It's going in. That's what she said. Water's going in.
That's a good one. It's very sexual, very Strange Lovian. You know, like the tube going into the, that thing's a clicking. It's like no other feeling in the world, Tracy. That's what it was like. There was some good imagery there.
See, Zach, this is what you don't know. Having to come up with a stickman for every episode of Breaking Bad has turned into quite the imaginative adventure.
Yeah. So the actual one I want to go with is the Milwaukee lithium-ion drill that Todd uses on the thing, because literally it grasps, it cups it and like maneuvers the bolts off the train. So that's the stickman.
That's
okay.
Some good stuff.
It moves the stiff objects. Okay, so this is what the award has come to. Okay, Zach.
Okay.
All right, Zach. I got to tell you, my favorite stickman we've had this whole time was the foil antenna on the cell phone when the RV breaks down in the middle of the desert. That was a stickman on episode.
What about the old people in the RV that Hank climbs? They had to be stick people.
We talked about
I had mentioned them.
They should also be on the minor character list, but we don't know their names.
All right, Zach, what's your stick man?
I was going to go with Peter, the therapist from Rio Rancho, who doesn't have a last name, or whatever his last name is. He's helped a lot of couples, so maybe he's not actually engaged in it, but he has created and enabled a lot of stickmanry. So he's kind of like the Hitch of this episode. He's like Will Smith. Maybe he's helping out couples. He is entirely fabricated. And again, really nice manipulation there by Walt, not giving the last name, so Hank can't check it out at all. But yeah, therapist Peter helping marriages across the ABQ.
Conspiracy theory, I think Peter bought his house from Mitch and Murray because he's in Rio Rancho.
Peter might also be Skinny Pete, his alter ego. Maybe he plays classical music and brings in big musical equipment boxes, venomous pests. I
could see Skinny as a therapist. That'd be pretty great. My stick man is, I think his name's Fernando. He's the Vominos pest guy who's running the excavator, because he's the one that gets the tanks in the ground. So he gets it in.
He gets it in. Yeah.
He gets it. Yeah. All right. The best new face. Hey, that's Danny Trejo award. Goes to, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go with the Good Samaritan, played by Ryan Begay. Because I mean he's the perfect character to just come along. It's like, oh yeah, I'll move it, no worries, no problem at all. Like he legit is just a good guy who happened to drive by. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just do this out of the kindness of my heart. And you can tell QB's like, oh come on, man, you're just ruining everything. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll get a ride into town. Why not? Yeah. And as he shrugs at Mike as he walks away. But yeah, the Good Samaritan, he's great.
The Good Samaritan is definitely a minor character. Is that an award that we do?
We do.
Okay, I'll hold off my thoughts on that then.
Okay. Adam, do you have a new face?
Well, obviously it's the kid would be the new face of the episode. That would be one, but I don't know his name. But and also the 2 locomotive drivers too. They were pretty. They didn't have to. They could have said, screw it. They don't need help. Let's get this thing off." So they actually spent a lot of time working with QB and trying to get that truck moving. So
I had forgotten that was Bill Burr. For some reason, he didn't look quite like Bill Burr. Yeah, I think it was the hair. What gave it off to me was his voice. Like I could have probably kept watching him and not realized it was Bill Burr, but his voice came through. Yeah, I mean, QB and Huel are great minor characters also on the show.
Back to God.
No,
I think
Huel has digestive issues. No, that's not a good character.
he does breathe loudly, if I remember correctly. But I think one of my favorite, because there's not a whole lot of great humorous moments in this episode, but it is kind of funny seeing Bill Burr try to delay the repairs. And then when the Good Samaritan comes, I mean, that's just like, and then he like kind of shrugs in Mike's direction, like, what am I supposed to do? He flips the switch so the automobile doesn't turn on. I think if Walter is like a great all-time liar and manipulator, QB is not. He's got some work to do. He needs to learn from the best about how to lie and manipulate people, because he just let the Good Samaritan swoop in there, and that was
played all his cards. What was he supposed to do?
QB really could be the LVP of the episode. But okay, we'll get to that.
All right. Okay, I've officially renamed it the Old Joe Gomi Minor Character Award. Zach,
people in the RV.
Zach, what do you want to talk about? No, or new face and then minor character.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, the only other new face, you guys said all the right ones. I'm looking at the entire. We've got the entire cast list except for one, which is Janice, the secretary. I don't know if she's ever been seen before. Hank's secretary. But yeah, she's not a whole lot to say about her
before.
I don't think we have,
because I think Myrtle had his own. Murder has Murkert had his own secretary.
Murder? You called him Murder?
I was trying to pronounce the T in there. Murder. Okay, never mind. Shut us. Okay.
All right. Okay, so Zach, minor character of the episode.
Minor character. I had the Good Samaritan, and the Good Samaritan is a great character. Now you do wonder, okay, if we're gonna get to gripes and conspiracies, this is a cell-free zone. Okay, McKinney County is the desert of the desert. So first of all, it's a little bit remarkable that, Bill Burr's truck would break down, right? That's got to raise some eyebrows of the engineers. But then for the Good Samaritan to come also at the exact moment, and again, if we're getting, maybe it's a weakness of the episode, but he is a Good Samaritan, though. It's funny how often Good Samaritans are also assholes and inconvenient in movies and TV. So screw Good Samaritans, but yes, he's definitely an interesting minor character.
As the musical Wicked says, no good deed goes unpunished.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have QB down as my favorite minor character this episode.
It's a good
because
one.
You're saying LVP. No, he's not an LVP. Like he plays it exactly how he can. And then when the Good Samaritan comes around, he really has no other option. He does exactly what he has to do. It's like, okay, I gotta fold. There's no other, and I need to fold and hope that it all is good.
He could have faked a heart attack. Okay. Oh my God, my heart. Come on, pull a Carl Reiner in Ocean's 11 if this is Ocean's 11.
Yeah, that's going to draw some suspicion, though. He just had to go with it.
That was total incompetence. Total incompetence.
I don't think so.
Even the engineers knew he was full of shit. Like, did you put it in neutral? Like, no one
give me some credit.
Give some credibility. QB's a loser. Now, Huel would have handled that situation, I think.
He would have had a heart attack.
Reasonably.
Yeah, exactly, with some heavy breathing.
He could have understandably had the heart attack. All right, Adam, who's your minor character?
Yeah, it's Bill Burr's QB. Yeah, QB, and the Good Samaritan. So those two, good calls.
All right, the cow house dumbest thing said of the episode. Adam, you can go first.
Can you say ASAC? Say ASAC. Can you say ASAC? That's your first words. I'm gonna throw my shoe at you, or hit you with my shoe, or something like that. Yeah, or beat you with my shoe. Yeah, that exchange was pretty good.
Good one.
It's about weight, yo. So, but you have it as your
all about the weight, yo. Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, the episode was too dang good to pay attention to dumb things said, because it was just it was good. So half of it was also heist too. So, but that's what I had.
Zach, you have a good dumb thing that was said.
The woman put out a hit on me. Seriously? Wait, yo, what, bitch? Like the mafia? Yeah, like the mafia.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah, like the mafia.
That's perfect.
Yeah, like the mafia.
The one I have is QB. You guys know anything about engines? Of course you do. That's why they call you an engineer.
Yeah. So dumb.
That's a good one. All right. Did either of you come up with any problems with the episode or any outdatedness of the episode?
Yeah, you picked up Heat on Blu-ray, which implies that you rented it from a rental store.
That's a great point.
That's how I put it. And then the Good Samaritan, are you telling me he didn't see an old guy standing in the bushes? That was a pretty clear shot of him being seen by the Good Samaritan when he did his U-turn. I think it was, yeah. I think he could have seen Mike.
Good call.
The only thing
Zach,
I'll
do you have
say
anything?
is this is a close to a flawless episode. Minus, it does strain credibility a little bit with the Good Samaritan, and Walt sometimes has this thing where like someone will be saying something, oh, but you can't do this, you can't do that, except you can. Like everybody's like, well, how are you going to do it with the dead bodies? Oh, no one's going to see you. We don't tell them we're robbing the train, or they don't know we robbed the train. Like that happens a lot over the course of the series. And in this one, it was kind of like, okay, been there, done that. We've kind of seen that a lot with Walt.
At least they didn't roll the barrels. Just roll the barrels, guys.
It's a barrel. Roll it.
Roll it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I didn't have anything. I never come up with something for that.
Who is Mariano, by the way? She's like, oh yeah, she's doing good when I'm with her, but other times she's with Mariano, which is that just another guy who works at the car wash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's who I was kind of thinking, but I just wanted some clarification. I don't think we've actually met that character. It was just a name dropped off there.
Oh,
yeah,
what
sure.
Hank? What during the conversation with Hank?
Hank's office. Yeah,
right.
So
okay, I know what you're talking about.
Said. I was like, wait, Mariano, who's that?
Mariano could be a sick man then.
He's my MVP because he's been running the car wash for weeks while Skylar won't get out of bed.
Oh yeah, good job, Mariano. Good job.
Good job, Mariano.
Getting insulted by Marie probably too.
Probably. Well, yeah, I think that might have been Mariano, the one that was drying the car improperly with the earmuffs on that Marie yelled at earlier. Okay, the midlife crisis moment. Adam, what do you have?
Playing the parent card. I'm the parent. You're the kid. Deal with it, and then I'll be closing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one. The one I have is you do anything you can to avoid the crier.
That's a good point.
Walt, the tears start flowing for Walt. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. You need some coffee? I can go get you a cup.
Let me close my blinds real quick. Yeah.
Let me close the blinds. I'll be right back. I'll give you a minute. Avoid the crier at all costs.
It's a good one.
Zach, did you have a midlife crisis moment?
Yes, my midlife crisis moment was being on this episode. From
Attaboy.
Series from 10 years ago. No, my midlife crisis moment, I actually think would be swearing on your children's lives. The whole debate about that, swearing on the lives of your children, which seems a little excessive, but in the case of Lydia, that's clearly a thing that she wants to avoid.
She's not. Maybe she's at that age. Yeah.
You can threaten if you have leverage. You have none.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great moment too. All right, LVP of the episode goes to who, Adam?
It's going to be China, unfortunately, because
God damn it, Adam.
They're going to get
sending a marginally weak batch.
For sending a weak batch.
Marginally weak batch.
They blame China.
It's good.
Oh, great call. Good job. Well, my LVP is QB's sweater, because what the hell is that? Straight out of the early '90s. Like he's had that in his closet for a while, for decades. and decide to bust it out for this. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Zach, do you want to come up with something else on the fly, or are you good?
Well, now that Adam stole mine, I'll go with McKinney County. Come on, not getting cell towers. Like, give me a break, man. This is 2012, okay? Like, keep up with the
It's
times. But Adams is
2009,
obviously better.
actually.
2009, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. MVP. I already said mine. It's Mariano for running the car wash while Skylar's
Good call.
been in her fugue state. Adam.
Yeah.
It's
She
Todd.
was in her fugue state the last episode when she was walking into the water. That was
That's very true.
That is true. Todd is the MVP of the episode because
Wow.
Well, yeah. What else were they supposed to do? The kid had to die.
You empathize with Todd. Wow,
No,
Adam,
I don't
Adam,
empathize, I'm
this
just
podcast
saying-
has made you break bad. You now side
Yes.
with the killers in it. All right.
Well, because they were going to get caught. Yeah.
Were
I
they?
don't know.
The kid seemed
Possibly.
pretty innocent, man. He was just hanging out on his
Maybe
dirt bike.
maybe Walter would have hired him like Gus did, and use kids as the drug runner. Ooh,
Exactly. Yeah, like Tomas.
Full circle. Yeah, the Tomas go full circle.
No kids, yo. All right, Zach, what's your MVP?
My MVP is the tarantula. I think the tarantula is also like a metaphor for Walt. You know, Walt is the apex predator. Tarantulas are apex predators wherever they live, and no one can get to Walt, but he is still closed in. And there are forces outside his control that are quite literally bottling him in, and he needs to escape those. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into too deep to it, but I love the idea of this spider just in the middle of nowhere, just being a total badass, controlling the environment until it can't. And just the great last. We'll see if that tarantula comes back to bite the characters, quite literally. Or metaphorically, but the tarantula did survive, I believe. So we'll have to see what happens.
The jar could have been a stick man because it quite literally got the tarantula in. Anyway,
That's you are getting pretty desperate with those stick. Let's rename it the stickman metaphors, stickman allegories, stickman symbolism.
Well, no, we said Beneke for quite a few episodes.
Also, another named minor character award. You could call it the Great Aunt Birgit minor character award, or maybe the Great Aunt, the Great Aunt Birgit unseen character, because that could also be Peter the therapist from Rio Rando.
Like the Great Aunt Birgit, imaginary character award.
Imaginary character. Walt's mother. We never see her.
I'm pretty sure Walt has a mother though.
Yeah, I know, but he said he was going to go see his mother in season 1, and he never did. There's there's some imagination.
Yeah, thanks for that. All right. Well, we're gonna find out what Adam thinks is gonna happen next in a second.
Part.
But here's the best part, and Zach, this is
no
new
idea.
for you. He has no idea what's coming. So, the Walter White body count for the show is now at 1 Emilio, 1 Crazy 8, 1 Ken Wynn's car, 1 Custodian's career, 1 Tuco hideout, 1 lock, 1 uneaten burrito, 1 paper towel holder, rot, 1 back door to Jesse's house, 1 love of Jesse's life, a few burned $100 bills, a pepperoni pizza, 1 career in education, 1 meth making RV, 1 beginning of a galeful friendship, 1 fly, 2 kid killing drug dealers, 1 Gail Bedecker, 1 fateful bottle of wine, 3 laundry worker jobs, 1 Walter Jr. dream car, 1 Pinkman living room, 1 secret underground meth lab, 1 Gale special coffee maker, 2 nameless henchmen, 1 Tyrus, 1 Hector Salamanca, 1 Gustavo Fring, 1 room full of evidence using magnets, bitch, a bunch of insects, 1 sanity of Skylar White, and 1 kid on a dirt bike.
You did forget about Great Aunt Birgit, though. There was also 1 Great Aunt Birgit.
Oh, that's right. We did kill Great Aunt Birgit. Oh, I should add her to the list.
Add her. We need to figure out. Now you have to.
I got to figure out where it was.
You got to do the research.
I think it was. Let's see here. No. It was. I think it was
season
right
4.
I think. Room. Yeah. Right after the living room before this finale. 1 Great Aunt.
Very
Birgit
wealthy old lady.
Added. Yes. Okay. And the Jesse ass kicked count remains at 9.5. The half is for self-emotional harm, which means Jesse gets his ass kicked once every 5.4 episodes right now.
He hasn't got his ass kicked for a while.
He hasn't gotten it kicked since Hank laid the smackdown on
Which
him.
was like season 2.
No. We did add one when Walt and Jesse brawled in his living room.
That's right.
Yeah,
No, it's
that's
been
true.
a while.
5.4 is
been a
not a
while.
bad. That's like the average number of times Todd wants to kick my ass when I make a dumb movie take on our podcast. It's like that's consistent.
It's consistency. It's consistency.
Yeah,
Like half of those are in season 1 though. So
that is true. That's really consistent. Yeah.
all right, Adam. Now that Dead Freight has happened, what is going to happen next? We've got three episodes left in the first half of season 5.
Okay, so if we're trying to set up something, and he spirals quite a bit, Jesse, you just killed the kid. The next episode, you're going to see Walt kind of siding with what Todd did, and that's going to make Jesse obviously he doesn't like what Todd did, and it's going to make him wonder what else is Walter doing, which will lead him to the Brock situation. I think that gets tied in, but how do we tie that in? How does he figure out that Walter?
We still got that ricin in that socket.
We do have ricin in the socket.
That's a big MacGuffin there.
Good point. Yeah,
maybe it all ties together. Have you been right, Adam, or is you? What's your
I've been wrong several times.
I'd say he's got like a 30% batting average right now.
All right. What was the best? Bad. What was the most impressive thing Adam accurately predicted?
Oh,
that besides the fact that Walt would break bad, I'm guessing you predicted that at some point.
There was something he saw coming a while ago. Oh, I don't even remember what it is though. There's something in season 4 where you saw it coming. Or was it? I don't know.
I don't remember honestly, but you caught it.
Yeah, there was something that you mentioned it like, oh, he's on the right track. How did he figure that out?
Well, I do remember that. I remember predicting that Walt's fugue state was not actually a real fugue state, and I think I was correct on that. I was vindicated with that prediction.
Good call. Yeah,
it's a good call.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is that they wouldn't give you little breadcrumbs to say that, hey, there's this thing that's still out there that's going to happen. So could be the finale, mid finale of the season. So we still have like 3 episodes. It could be. Who knows?
Would you rank the episodes at this point, Adam? What? Like, do you have a favorite episode at this point? Because this is my favorite episode. I mean, the show still is great. There's many great episodes to come, but for me, this is like the embodiment of what made.
Yeah, I think the episode.
Don't say fly.
No, the episode where Gus dies, the finale. That's one of my favorite ones because I honestly did not see that coming. I thought he was going to be the bad guy for season 5, and I was saying that too on the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you saying like that he's got to last to season 5. I mean, how can you have a show after Gus? And that's one thing I've been saying too is season 5 is a completely different show. Like it could be a completely different thing because you spent 2 seasons building up Gus and now he's gone.
It is
my favorite episode. Like this is a great episode, but if I had to pick a favorite episode, I mean, when Jane dies, like that. Nothing ripped your heart out quite like that. And that's like the first time he really breaks bad.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
Yeah. I remember, it was, I think the last episode. I would always try to watch these live, but at the time I had broke bad myself and was a Patriots fan. And I remember that these would air during Sunday Night Football. And so I missed, I don't think it was this one. I remember seeing this one live, but I did miss a few of them because the Patriots were playing Sunday Night Football. And the series finale aired the same night that the Patriots were playing Sunday Night Football against the Falcons. And that was the one time I privileged this show over the Patriots. So in retrospect, that was a good decision. I should have done it more often because they were on Sunday Night Football all the time. It felt like. But.
All right. That's a good.
Oh
good
no, I know
Sorry,
what it was.
yeah,
I know what I
little check.
predicted. I knew
What did you
that
predict?
I knew the twins were related to Tuco.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
calling that. I was calling that members were coming from Mexico for a while. Like, and there was those
That's
guys
right.
were relatives.
You had a beat on that the whole time. The second they showed up, it's like, oh, those are Tuco's cousins because they were coming from Mexico.
Mm.
Yeah, you got that right away. That's a good call. All right, send us out, Adam.
Well, that is our episode today, folks. Thank you so much to Zach for staying up way later than he probably wanted to today, but we are happy that he's here breaking down Breaking Bad. Breakdown of Breaking Bad. And next week, we will answer the tough questions. Why don't we have a guest? What happened to Todd in the aftermath of the
Both
death of
Todds.
Yeah, both Todds. What happened to the other Todd?
What happened to Todd?
And what happened? What's the aftermath like? The death of the kid, and where the hell's Saul Goodman been the last couple episodes as well? But before that, we have to do one thing, and what is that, Terry?
Well, first, any
go
last thoughts, Zach, before we we
Good
close
point.
out?
No, just keep up the good work. You've got listeners somewhere. Maybe I'll tune in at some point. Adam, are we going to deep dive El Camino after the
Yeah,
show?
that's the
should be
plan. Well,
okay.
we're doing an anniversary a deep dive of El Camino, and
invite me
then we're doing
back for invite me back for the finale. I'll be there I'd like to be there for the last episode. I love the Felina. So Felina is a great last episode.
You'll be there. We're going to do a character draft at some point.
Character draft
There we
too.
go.
And
yeah.
Anyway,
all right.
One last thing.
I believe Todd's favorite episode is Ozymandias. We've talked about that before, so you'll have to have him on for that.
It's still coming.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks,
Here we
Wendy.
go.
All right. What do we do?
We sit and spin.